The job of journalists who cover INEC is a sacred one. It is my sincere hope that we all live here today better informed. It is also my hope that knowledge gaps which exist about the new electoral law will all be filled. I also believe that those bugging questions on our minds will be answered by the in-house experts who are with us here today. Once again, I say thank you very much for coming. I look forward to a stimulating engagement here this morning. Thank you very much.
Working with the press corps since the inception, since 2010, and the idea is simple for us to ensure that while the election is going on, misinformation and disinformation is something that we should not be part of as a Nigerian civil society situation room, which is why we ensure that anything we are putting forward, we work with the INEC press corps to ensure that these are authentic news before we put it forward. Now, ahead of 2023 election, yes, this meeting is very timely, looking at the content of the Electoral Act, because we have a political class that have the tendency of putting law they are not ready to obey. And the only way that we can get them to obey this law is for us as press people to be reminding them that this is the content of the Electoral Act and you should abide by it. And of course, from the power we have as INEC, we should be able to wear the big stick if they are going contrary. I think I want to commend INEC by not shifting their ground of extending the date of the primary despite all the permutation and the gameplay that the political class are putting in place. INEC should remain resolute because we are independent and we should not be answerable to anybody except Nigerians. So ahead of 2023 election, the press corps should focus on three things. One, we should be able to remind the citizen that the people they are putting in power are working for them and they should hold them completely accountable for their action. And how do they do that? As they are coming for campaign, the citizens should be looking at asking them what they are going to offer them after 100 days in office, 4 years in office, and so on, instead of dancing to all the dramas and all the fake promises that we put in. And of course, we, the press corps, should remind the politicians that they are working for the people and they should be ready to be held accountable at all times. Because the people that put them there, and they should be able to answer to them on whatever that they claim that they are representing. Because what we are having across board here now is a political system of godfatherism. You look at the primaries that have happened so far, either you are having an incumbent returning unopposed from a flawed leadership recruitment process called party primaries, or we have even a situation where an incumbent governor is even putting the son to replace him. So if we, as the press, don't amplify this issue and condemn it in totality, we are going to have a very fake version of democracy in Nigeria. And of course, the press should also ensure that as post-2023 election, because we normally tell people that election is a cycle. Another election starts immediately the leadership are sworn in. So we should keep on amplifying the need for these people to keep on representing the people. And finally, as we head towards 2023 election, the press corps should firm up their resolve to combat misinformation and disinformation, because that is going to play a very vital role in the 2023 election. The politicians are going to come up with their own army of fake journalists that are going to be misinforming the people. And the only way we can combat it is for us that are doing the good work to be saying the right thing at the right time. So once more, I want to thank the press corps for this and the situation.
Press corps, Mr. Segun Ojumu, and other ESCO members for inviting me to this important event. I also want to express my deep appreciation to all press corps members for their continued support to the Commission. Your relentless reportage of our activities has not only given INEC the opportunity to tell its own story, it has also kept the most burning issues about the electoral system on the front burner. So on behalf of the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, I want to thank you all. As you are aware, the Ekiti and Osun governorship elections will hold on 18th June and 16th July, respectively, while the 2023 general election will begin with the Presidential and National Assembly version on 25th February, to be followed by the Governorship and State Assembly election on 11th March 2023. For media organizations wishing to deploy their correspondents to cover the Ekiti governorship election, the Commission opened the accreditation portal on 27 April. It will be shut down on 7 June 2022. For the Osun governorship election, the portal has been available since 23rd May, and it will be shut down on 3rd July. So I want to appeal to you, my colleagues, who intend to cover both elections, who have not yet applied online, to quickly do so. There will be no extension. You know, we don't want to extend the date of primary, so we shouldn't extend this one. So they won't accuse us of double standard. There have also been speculations about the number of resident electoral commissioners whose tenure will end before the 2026 general elections. I have been asked severally, and I have spoken privately on it to a number of our colleagues. Indeed, the tenure of 21 regs will end between July and August this year. Now, 7 out of this number cannot be reappointed because they are serving their second term. 14 are qualified for second term. However, one of the 7 has already been appointed as a national commissioner, as we all know. But the good news is, which is, of course, the reason why I'm saying this, what people are asking is, the appointing authority, the federal government, is aware, and they are making adequate arrangements to ensure that there will be no vacuum at all. Dear colleagues, there is also one important aspect of our elections that is often underreported. And I'm talking about the high price that we all pay when elections take place in this country. Have we asked the question about how many lives are lost during a general election? And have we spared a thought about Nigerians that paid the supreme price during the 2015 and 2019 general elections? Very often, when elections take place, everybody will be focused on the outcome. But what about the huge price that we all pay? It will interest you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that between 2015 and 2019 general elections, INEC lost 19 ad hoc staff in 10 states. 19 ad hoc staff in 10 states. Now, have we bothered to ask after their loved ones what has happened to them since then? This is one aspect I think the media should focus on. No election is worth the life of a human being, and the people that are killed are our children, our children that we spend our hard-earned income on, sending to universities and polytechnics, doing their youth service, and I think that for those who were killed by the actions of others, by perpetrators, thugs, we need to ensure that they are brought to justice. Finally, I'm proud to say that the reason why our democracy has been this vibrant is because of what the media has been doing. In fact, sometimes I say that the democracy in our country has not collapsed because of what you wonderful guys are doing. So I think that we deserve to praise ourselves, but we need to do more. The import of my message is that we should not rest on our oars. Dangers lurk in the dark, and there are people who are not interested in doing the right thing. So we must not fail to continue to hold those who occupy positions of power accountable and ensure that the standards are followed for the sake of our children and generation yet unborn. Thank you very much for your attention.
When I was at the University of Jos, I had a colleague and a brother who is now late, called Chris Abashi. anytime we are given an assignment and then we go to the library, he will write his conclusion. And then I will write my introduction. Then I asked him, I said, why are you always writing conclusion on something you have not even started? He said that as far as he's concerned, he will write his conclusion and then look for theories to justify his conclusion. So I'm tempted to go to my conclusion and then see whether my conclusion rhymes with the issues I intend to canvass. But I will reverse the trend today. Let me seize this opportunity to thank the INEC Press Corps for the tremendous cooperation and partnership we have enjoyed over the years. I am quite certain and very clear in my mind that without the cooperation of the INEC Press Corps, the type of mileage we have achieved in the commission, we wouldn't have achieved it. I just want to reflect on germane and grey issues in the Electoral Act 2022. And before I do that, let me just say that sometimes when we see a law, and when a law is passed, we say the law has been passed by the National Assembly and assented to by the President. Sometimes we do not really know those who played fundamental role in bringing the law into being and those who played a fundamental role in drafting the letters of the law. Let me pay special respect to Oluwatoyin Babalola for the role she played in midwifing this Electoral Act. And I will not say more on that. The Electoral Act 2022 is a progressive piece of legislation. It is a product of multi-stakeholder intervention in the electoral process. The Act embodies and encapsulates previous amendments made to the repealed Electoral Act 2010. It also contains some suggestions, recommendations, and drafts submitted to the Senate Committee on INEC and the House Committee on Electoral Matters by the Independent National Electoral Commission. After the 2011 general election, the Commission harvested suggestions and amendments and forwarded them to the National Assembly. Also, after the 2015 general election, the Commission also did the same. And as you are aware, the Commission also organized programs to review the conduct of the 2019 elections. And this also involved civil society groups and organizations. Some of them involved the media. Some involved the political parties, while the in-house version involved some of our electoral officers, collation officers, returning officers, and our resident electoral commissioners. The Act is also a product of judicial intervention in the electoral process because we also looked at some of the decisions and some of the judgments given by the different courts of law and also given by different election tribunals and harvested them and incorporated some of them into the draft which we forwarded to the National Assembly. It also embodies the experiences of members of the National Assembly. It also embodies the experiences of political parties and also the experiences of the media and Nigerians in relation to what they want to see as embodying our electoral legal framework. I've given a background to the making of the Electoral Act, and I want to just do a brief discussion on the Electoral Act 2022, the germane issues and the gray areas under 9 distinct headings. And I will just breeze through some of them. The first is election planning and administration. election planning and administration. The second relates to the regulation of political parties. The third one relates to technology in the electoral process. The fourth relates to gender, persons living with disability, and inclusivity. The fifth relates to the power to review declarations and returns. The sixth revolves around penalty for electoral offenses. The seventh revolves around judicial intervention in pre-election matters. The eighth revolves around managing unforeseen electoral challenges as well as local government elections in Nigeria, while the ninth revolves around election security. On issue of election planning and administration, most of you are already aware that Section 28, Subsection 1 of the Act makes it mandatory that the Independent National Electoral Commission shall give notice of the conduct of election at least 360 days before the conduct of such election. While Section 3, Subsection 3 of the Act strengthens the independence and strengthens the hands of the Independent National Electoral Commission in terms of its finances by making it mandatory that election funds due to the Independent National Electoral Commission shall be released at least 360 days before the conduct of election. Section 9, Subsection 6 of the Act also makes it mandatory that everything relating to the registration of voters, the updating of the voters register, and the revision of the voters register shall stop 90 days to the conduct of election. And this was purposely inserted to give the Independent National Electoral Commission enough time to complete the continuous voters registration exercise, clean up the voters register, integrate the supplementary voters register with the main voters register, publish same, and then hand over the clean register to the political parties. Section 42 of the same Act also mandates the Commission to invite in writing a political party that nominated a candidate in the election to inspect his identity, appearing on sample electoral materials proposed for the election. And the political party shall state in writing, within 2 days of being so invited, that it approves or disapproves of his identity as it appears in the sample ballot. Why is this important? This is important because we have had elections nullified on grounds that the logo of a political party was omitted on the ballot. So to obviate this type of challenge, the law obligates the Commission to invite political parties to come and inspect their logo, and they must give their response in writing within a period of 2 days. So if a political party refuses to come and inspect, and its logo does not appear on the sample ballot on election day, or on the ballot on election day, it cannot lead to the nullification of that particular election on grounds of exclusion. Section 75 of the Act also provides for powers of the Commission to register political parties. And any political party that wants to be registered must apply for registration within a period of 12 months before the conduct of the general election. While political parties that want to merge must also apply within a period of 9 months before the conduct of election. And this is in accordance with Section 81, Subsection 2 of the Electoral Act. On the regulation of political parties, Section 29 of the Electoral Act gives political parties a total of 180 days to submit to the Commission the list and personal particulars of their nominated candidates. And this list must be the list and personal particulars of all of those who have fulfilled what we call the requisite constitutional requirements for contesting election. While Section 77 makes it mandatory for every registered political party to maintain a register of its members, and such register shall be submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission 30 days before the conduct of party primaries. Now, to get to where we are now, Section 82 of the Electoral Act makes it mandatory that any political party that wants to nominate candidates or wants to organize convention or congress for the purpose of nominating candidates for any of the strands of election must give to the Independent National Electoral Commission the mandatory 21 days notice. And if any political party fails to give to the Independent National Electoral Commission the 21 days notice of its intention to conduct congress or conduct a convention or conduct primaries, whatever it does under such a framework has been declared as invalid by the Electoral Act 2022. Now, Section 84 of the Act gives political parties the option of conducting direct, indirect, or consensus primaries. And where a political party fails to comply with the provisions of the Act in the conduct of its primaries, its candidate for election shall not be included in the election for that particular position in issue. Under this Section 84 of the Electoral Act, there are 5 germane issues, there are 5 fundamental issues that we must pay attention to. The first is that every registered political party, as I have pointed out, shall give to the Commission the mandatory 21 days notice of the conduct of its convention, congress, or meeting convened for the purpose of nominating candidates for elective positions. The Commission will therefore not expect any political party that failed, refused, or neglected to give it the mandatory 21 days notice to submit any name to the Commission as its candidate for any. 2. All party primaries must commence and end on the dates and days stated in the timetable and schedule of activities released by the Commission. Any political party that conducts its primaries outside this orbit will not have a candidate in the election, and the Commission will not make available the access code to its portal to such a political party. 3. All party primaries must be conducted in the designated constituencies, and any political party that conducts primaries outside the constituency is not expected to file any nomination, and the Commission will not accept candidates that emerge from such primaries. 4. Parties must be diligent in the screening of their candidates, and any political party that presents to the Commission the name of a candidate who does not meet the qualifications stipulated in Section 29 of the Electoral Act commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine of 10 million. Any political party that nominates a candidate that is not qualified has constitutionally excluded itself from submitting any name to the Commission, and the Commission will not violate the intent of the law and the Constitution by accepting such a nomination. And 5, the Commission's candidates nomination portal will shut down at 6 p.m. on the 17th day of June 2022 for the Presidential and National Assembly elections, and on the 15th day of July 2022 for governorship and state assembly nominations. Therefore, any political party that fails to upload the list and personal particulars of its nominated candidates will not have a candidate for that particular election. On the issue of technology in elections, I've defected to another microphone. On technology in the electoral process, the Electoral Act validates the technological innovations deployed by the Commission. It cements the place of the smart card reader through bimodal voter accreditation system in voter accreditation process, which was set to an administrative decision in the Commission's regulations and guidelines for the conduct of elections. More specifically, Section 41, Subsection 1 of the Act gives the Commission the right and power to provide what he calls suitable boxes, electronic voting machines, or any other voting device for the conduct of elections. While Section 47, Subsection 2 of the Act provides that to vote, the presiding officer shall use a smart card reader or any other technological device that may be prescribed by the Commission for the accreditation of voters to verify, confirm, or authenticate the particulars of the intending voter in the manner prescribed by the Commission. Now, Section 50 of the Act provides that subject to Section 63, and here I said, where it provides that subject to Section 63, it should more particularly refer to Section 60 of the Act. It provides that voting at an election and the transmission of results under the Act shall be in accordance with the procedure determined by the Commission. Section 60, more appropriately, of the Act mandates the presiding officer in an election to count the votes, enter them in the manner prescribed, and transfer the results, including the total number of accredited voters, and the results of the ballot in a manner prescribed by the Commission. Section 64, subsection 6 of the Act prescribes procedures for the resolution of disputes arising during collation. Where during collation of results, there is a dispute regarding a collated result or the result of an election from any polling unit, the collation officer or returning officer shall use the following to determine the correctness of the disputed result. And I think this is very, very important. What this provides is that at the level of the polling unit, when intending voters have finished voting and the presiding officer has finished sorting out the results or the votes of the political parties, the presiding officer shall enter the votes scored by each political party in what we call Form EC8A, that is the polling unit result. After entering such results, the presiding officer shall sign the result and stamp the result. Thereafter, polling agents or party agents shall also, where available, countersign. That particular result in the manual form will be transferred to the first level of collation, which is the Registration Area Collation Center. So the Electoral Act has not excluded the manual transfer of results. It has not excluded it. The Act has also provided that that manually transferred result, the manually transferred result, as signed by the presiding officer and as countersigned by the polling agents, shall also be transmitted electronically to the first level of collation. So the manual result will be carried and transmitted and transferred manually to the first level of collation. The same result will also be transmitted electronically to the first level of collation. Now, at the collation center, the collation officer will use the manually transmitted result for the purposes of collating into Form EC8B. However, where there is a dispute relating to the manually collated result, the manually transmitted result, the law has provided on what will happen. It says that the collation officer, faced with such a situation, will do the following. One, we do the following to resolve the problem. That the original of the disputed collated result for each polling unit where the election is disputed. So the collation officer will carry the original copy as transferred to him from the polling units where there is a problem and put it on one side. It's part of the things that the collation officer will use in resolving the matter. Two, the smart card reader or other technological device used for accreditation of voters in each polling unit where the election is disputed for the purposes of obtaining accreditation data directly from the smart card reader or technological device. In other words, the collation officer will also get the beavers relating to the polling unit or polling unit disputed, and then extract the data of accredited voters from that beavers